What is quantum transfiguration? So, quantum transfiguration is a modality I have developed and it builds upon trainings I've received in other modalities. And it also is focusing the way it is because of learnings that I've received and also insights that I've received through systems like the gene keys and my own journey about working with transfiguration. So, um, one of my codes in the gene keys works from oppression into transfiguration. And I come from a background where I've studied the oppressed a lot, and I come from Northern Ireland. And then the totem of the lotus came to me, and it's very much about a journey from the sludge into a more transcendental emanation. So the way that I like to work with quantum modalities is trying to help people to find the reference points in their system, in their story, that become potent accelerator points for deeper realizations and upgrading to the higher sense of being. And that's why we call it transfiguration. And different quantum modalities work in different ways. There is one modality called reference point therapy. It's not the same. None of them are the same. So what we're doing in this training is teaching you a little bit about different modalities and how they might come through for you, and helping you to look into your own frequency to see how you might best be served working with such modalities. So for me, I've got an avid interest in Kundalini work and DNA and working through trauma and working from shadow, understanding in a non-dual way the shadow as a potent catalyst for awakening. And some people are better maybe at working with inner child or patterns or saboteurs or specific addictions or um, or certain genetic or multidimensional codings. So some people are very into the concept of star seeds, and some people don't have any affinity with that. Some people don't really have trauma as a strong point, and other people do. So this modality is created to be bespoke for the client when we work in a client setting, with the fact that we bring in different tools to help the person to journey. And as such, there are certain intuitive aspects within the modality which keep it interesting for me, and I'm quite an intuitive person. So some people will work better with a standard framework. So part of this training is to show you different ways we can cut and paste it in, and also how certain modalities work, so that your holistic understanding of consciousness of the quantum field can be then personalized into a way that you feel comfortable to represent it. Because I've seen people in trainings having a lot of parts or hesitation or non-confidence about picking up the modalities, and we will work with you to try to look at those and also help you to understand that you will have your own unique way of accessing those gateways, right? So I work with it with things like internal family systems, with Seichem healing, with different trauma modalities. I look at the gene keys, I look at the galactic and the Guatemalan Mayan calendar, I look at what's trending in the field, and these things help for me to land with things that are collective at any given point, or also to work with people's charts and then to find stuff that's sticking in their charts that no longer resonates with them. Sometimes, for instance, we'll be working with somebody's gene keys, and it's really blatant that they don't really vibe with part of the reading, and usually it's because it's something an ancestor has that they've got a legacy of, and we can look into that, and often that will open up an ancestral field, and we'll actually find out, oh well, they need to clear something for great aunt Marjorie. So So the modality itself is made in quite an open, flexible way. And this whole concept of transfiguration is very much just about helping someone to find a reference point as a gateway for their field to harness into awakening that's specific to them and their journey as a fractal. And this leads to probably, for me, the most important point. Um, we have to really clear these archetypes around colonization and unravel from the rescuer complex. And therefore, for me, quantum transfiguration is very much about holding space for a client to enable them to see what they need to see. And so sometimes we're employing techniques from other modalities to help the client feel more comfortable and using a heart-based approach so that they actually get to that eureka moment. There's this amazing opportunity on the planet right now, and it's so important that we let people have their own awakening. And we can sometimes see, but it's not for us to tell. And if we hold space in the right way, the people get these epiphanies because we've all shown up, and it's amazing when we see this happening. So I really encourage you to know that that is something we're always striving to do, to think about how we're skillfully holding space, sometimes how we're maneuvering things by an open-ended question, how we're flowing in something, and actually how we come in without any expectations. Sometimes I see something in an early session, I forget about it, and then it's the field is so expanded that sometimes there's just a question and the person goes dip, 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 and they see it all. And that is when their soul and all the karmic situations have all lined up to bring it to a point where they can have their epiphany. And that's when it will stick. That's when things can work, the aha moment. I sometimes do these group sessions, and sometimes I'm slightly shocked to say, goodness, actually, I remember we worked about this. This same code came up 6 months ago, but the people are avidly needing it, and then they get these huge epiphanies. I'm like, we already did that, but they weren't ready maybe the first time, and then it's like, okay, and it's getting the building blocks in place. So this is something that's really important within this modality, is this whole feeling of holding space for the sludgy bit to be realized, and not having any duality to the negative stuff, and occasionally having to push through a little bit, occasionally challenging people, but having these skillful means to help people to navigate into awareness and self-awareness, where something's sitting very, very young for them, or very prevalent as a fractal, or very, very reoccurring along their family line. And this is one of the cruxes. And then by opening the space properly and doing the work properly, we can take out more from the field, and they can have a huge transformation. Okay, so that's in a nutshell what it is for you. And you might want to watch the video that's also put in this section that you've probably seen, that's like what to expect in a session and things like that, because that will help you to just really understand part of this, so that when we come in and we're starting to work with different modalities, I'm teaching you about theta healing or some other modality, you can see why we have them in the field, but why we can work in a free flow way. Okay, over and out. Ciao, ciao.